Blog Talk Radio.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
My minions, and welcome aboard as we continue on our show, even in spite of the Coronacation, if you will. We're still quarantined up in the house, and we'll see how we can all keep our sanity. Part of how you do that is listen to The Balance every week right here on the Balance Radio Network. 917-899-8516 is our digits. We're going to be joined by Mo from the BS Sports Show in just a moment. Talk a little bit about some of the best stuff. Maybe I thought, well, since it's March, on the end of March, and we'd be going into the NCAA championship, that we would talk about some of the best ever. Why not jump on that best ever train that everybody's been on for the last couple of weeks? And, of course, we've also got the NFL free agency and getting close to the NFL draft. So we'll kind of do a little bit of mock draft with Ed Kracz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles at SI.com and our official NFL contributor. And then we're going to do something different today. We're going to call it Podcast Overtime, which means that right after our live show, we're going to go 30 minutes into the podcast. And Matthew Embry from WSVT up in South Bend, our official IndyCar contributor, is going to join us and talk with us about IndyCar and some of the e-racing, as they call it. So I tell you what, just stick around. It's all going to get good. We'll be right back right here on the Balance Radio Network.
Tonight, I just want to take you away. Slow down in the bits of time. Let's set this party alright. Players, put your pinky rings up to the moon.
The Air National Guard is a reserve component of the United States Air Force and serves alongside active-duty Air Force members in times of a national crisis. In addition, the Air Guard serves the state and local community in a wide range of capacities. The reason people join the Air Guard is as diverse as our members and includes such reasons as a deep desire to serve their country, money for college, travel, new job skills, and the pride that goes along with belonging to the greatest military organization in the world. I joined because I felt a calling to serve my country, but I didn't want to be far away from my family, so the Indiana Air National Guard was a perfect fit for me. With over 95 different career opportunities to choose from and 100% paid college tuition to any state-funded college, why not give us a call? Call 1-800-841-3103 or visit online at goang.com to find out more. Again, that's 1-800-841-3103. The Air National Guard, guarding America, defending freedom.
I can't believe it. I've been playing 4-on-4 with a barbershop quartet.
Pass the ball, pass the rock. We're open, just pass the ball.
Nah, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico. Yeah.
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Morning face. You get it when you don't sleep well. This is what happened to Linda.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. Ah, what is that thing?
It's me, Linda.
Oh my God, it talks! Run!
No, it's me, Linda from HR.
It looks hungry! Save the children! Save them! Stay back! I've got mace!
Ow, that went in my eyes.
Quit moving!
It's called beauty sleep for a reason. And there's never been a better time to get some.
Get 20% off IKEA Sultan mattresses. IKEA, love your home.
right, and welcome back to The Balance. We are live, ready to kick things off, live from the home studios of The Balance in the west suburb of Indianapolis. Joining us now is Mo for the BS Sports Show. Mo, how's this Coronacation going for you? That's what we're calling it. That's the name that we have for it now.
Well, it's long. Very, very long.
It has been long. I'm pretty much an extrovert, but I enjoy being at home. But when I'm forced to be at home, it's like I'm clawing at the walls, man. Fortunately, the weather's been a little bit better, and I've got a pretty good backyard, so I can go out there with the hounds and enjoy some. I fired up the grill. I'm going to smoke a butt today, so not a blunt, but a butt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I make some pulled pork out of it. Some world famous pulled pork, by the way. Everything I make is world famous, though. But Mo, let's get into just I thought if this was in the real world and the way things would typically be in our world, we'd be getting geared up for a national championship game in the NCAA March Madness, and so I thought I would just, I gathered some notes and just, maybe you can add some too. But I thought we would just talk a little bit about the best of the best. Jump on that train that seems to be the most popular thing that's on ESPN and all the sports places there. They're playing the best stuff. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about the best stuff. So why don't we'll start with you, Mo. In your mind, in your memory, what's some of the best March Madness? It could be the Elite Eight, it could be the Final Four, it could be the National Championship game. But what are some of the best games that you have that comes to mind?
Well, obviously, I think most people's number one is the shot Christian Laettner hit to beat Kentucky. But, for me personally, watching Keith Smart hit that shot in '87 against Syracuse, watching Michigan take down Seton Hall in '89 was good. Watching the Butler Bulldogs advance to the championship game not once but twice. Watching those guys do that, and watching Gordon Hayward make almost a 3/4 length shot to win the championship for Butler in Indianapolis. So that for obviously Homer reasons, it is a pretty good one as well.
Well, that Butler game is, whether or not it's a Homer game or not, is always going to be one of the top classics of all time. I was thinking about back in 1990, Arkansas versus Texas in the Elite Eight. They called that the Texas star players. They nicknamed them the BMW, Lance Blanks and Travis Mays and Joey Wright. They combined for 57 points, and the Longhorns held Arkansas star Todd Day to 12 points. But Lee Mayberry dominated the Razorbacks with 18 points and 7 assists, and Arkansas went on to win that game 88-85. Big matchup there in 1990.
Yeah, it's hard to look back though and not think of those great UNLV teams of that era. I think some of those get overshadowed just because of how good Duke and UNLV were in the early '90s. There are so many stars, NBA players that came off of both of those teams that some of those teams like Texas and Arkansas from those years just get overlooked.
We also think about Marquette and Pitt, Sweet 16, 2003. I think what I remember most about this game, which preceded one round of Marquette and Dwayne Wade. That was when Dwayne Wade played for Marquette and put up against Kentucky in the regional final. But it was the Panthers. What was his name? Donatos. Can't remember his last name. Zakavat. Remember getting angry with Coach Ben Howard at a key point in the second half. I remember that game too. But anyway, Marquette went on to win that 77-74. And you look at the Marquette, that was kind of where our ex-IU coach, if you will, cut his teeth and got his name there with the Marquette during the Dwayne Wade days.
Yeah, it was really probably the game that made IU take a hard look at Tom Crean, and we saw Dwayne Wade go on to win championships with the Miami Heat. And just a couple years later, him and Shaq in 2006 would be NBA champions. So, Tom Crean had a nice gig at Marquette. Probably could have stayed forever, but decided to take the jump to IU and had some pretty decent success there.
And he's now at Georgia, isn't he? Isn't that where Tom Crean is at now?
He is at Georgia. Georgia struggled a little this year, but hey, everybody wound up not making the tournament. So it's hard to say that hey, he did a bad job because not one person made the tournament. So hey, he's just like every other coach in the country.
This is very true. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Big Ten. Remember back in 2007, Ohio State versus Tennessee in the Sweet 16 with Greg Oden. Remember Greg Oden struggling with foul trouble. The Buckeyes' massive advantage inside, and talking about a home card of Greg Oden, but they needed an extraordinary performance from Ron Lewis and others, if you remember right. And Memphis survived Texas A&M during that whole bracket, if you will. But I think it was one of the best Sweet 16 games ever. Ohio State won that game 85-84. That was a buzzer beater.
And that was one of the games that really propelled Mike Conley Jr. up people's draft boards. And, if you would have said back then, hey, Mike Conley Jr. is going to be the guy that's in the NBA longer and is a bigger star, people would have thought you were insane. But, it turned out that that he had the longevity to be an NBA player, and now, made a pretty darn good career for himself as one of the highest paid players in the league. So, it worked out well for Mike Conley Jr. From that Ohio State team.
I tell you what, going back to the 80s, if you will, back in 1989, you had Michigan versus North Carolina in 1989. I think other than that funerals, I've really never seen a grown man cry, maybe except for myself when it comes to Colts games and what's going on right now. But remember Gene Smith was crying during the news conference at the end of that game between Michigan and North Carolina, and Michigan won that game 92-87, I believe.
Yeah, I do remember that. You look at those games. That team. If you look back at it, probably not a team that people thought would win a national championship, but Ramil Robinson, Glenn Rice, those guys, they got it done against North Carolina, and then on to Seton Hall and national champions.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping on with the Big Ten, back in 1995, if you remember Memphis versus Purdue. If you remember the Tigers, I was trying to remember that, but at the end of the game, or toward the end of the game, it rolled the rim and it rebounded it and put back to the opposite side. And David Vaughn, I believe, was the guy that and his path was cleared by, what was his name? Renzen Wright, or sorry, Memphis ended up beating Purdue 77-75 in that matchup.
Yeah, that's not one of the ones that pops as immediately in my brain. At the time, not a Purdue team that really stood out to me. So it's not a game that's at the forefront of my memory. The Purdue game that really sticks out would be the one from a year and a half ago, where Carson Edwards continued just to put points up for Purdue late into the game as they were battling the Virginia Cavaliers, and just the back and forth 3-point shooting, and Carson Edwards just having the game of his life.
So, Mo, I'm going to have you do me a favor, if you don't mind, because this is the world that we live in now. My dog's gut's been acting up, and I'm trying to avoid an issue. So I'm going to turn the reins over to you for about 5 minutes while I get her outside and get the other one on its lead, and I can come back and join you. So if you can take about 5 or 7 minutes and take the reins and just let yourself ramble about whatever, because I don't want to deal with what repercussions might be